Okay, here we go.
Hi guys. So we've been getting a lot of questions recently about planning trips. I guess lots of you are, because you've got nothing else to do I suppose at the moment, you're planning your trips. So we decided to put together a little video and let you know the basics of how we go about planning our trips. And by trips, we're talking green laning, not really 2-week-long overlanding trips or more. So just green lane trips. How do we find the green lanes? How do we know that they are legal green lanes, byways? And how do we know what restrictions there are on any of those lanes? And also about whether we're camping or not, and what is the ideal way of putting all that together.
Just remember that this is what we're going to be talking about, is how we do it. Everyone will have their own ways of doing it.
Yeah, there's many ways of doing it.
We're not saying that we're right, we're just going to tell you how we're doing it.
Yeah. So...
shall we mention that usually we don't do this?
I think you just have. Yeah, so most of the time we get invited to trips, or it's just our group of friends, and
so basically we just follow.
Someone else takes the lead, yeah.
we let the other person do the work basically.
Quite often Chris, sometimes Tom. Every now and then we do plan a trip, or sometimes we plan part of it and Chris will maybe plan another part, and sometimes we go with other people and it's down to us. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll just mention that after we've done this video, we will be uploading all of the notes for this video in more of a blog kind of format on our new website. The website's still the same address as before, modifiedjeeps.uk. So if you want to go on there and check the journal blog section. Yeah. So what's first?
Okay, so what you want to start with is we need to decide...
Or what we start with.
What we start with, yeah. We decide what area we want to go to and who is going to join us. Mm-hmm.
I mean, usually, like I say, it's our group of friends, but our group of friends is getting a little bit big and it gets bigger all the time. If we were all to go on a trip, there's probably too many of us. It's generally considered good etiquette, lane etiquette, to have no more than 5, or some people say 6 vehicles, regardless of how many people there are in each vehicle. Just too many vehicles attracts too much attention. The locals start complaining, lanes get shut down, or there's legal battles to keep them open. So try to keep the numbers down. But having said that, don't be tempted to go on your own. Some lanes are okay, but the more difficult ones, go with a friend, at least one friend. So if you get stuck or there's an emergency, you've always got someone to help. Sometimes, depending on who we're going with, that'll dictate where we go. So we try and find an area between our 2 locations. We might be meeting up with somebody from, I don't know, a couple of 100 miles away, and we'll just pick somewhere either we're willing to travel to, or somewhere between the 2 of us.
So usually if we meet up with someone for the first time, we usually have already talked with them online. We do know them a little bit.
Not complete strangers.
Yeah, not complete strangers. It's probably not the safest to meet up with a complete stranger.
Yeah, we definitely advise not meeting up with complete strangers, because you never know who they are. You've got an expensive vehicle. Yeah, wait until you know them a little while before you do that. Kind of goes without saying, but we said it. Okay, so when you know who you're going with and where you're going, where are the lanes? You need to find where the lanes are, what kind of lanes they are, and so on. To start with, we'll go on to Trailwise, or also known as TW2, and that is put together by GLAS, the Green Lane Association. You will need to join GLAS, which it's worth doing. It's a worthwhile cause. They do fight legal battles to keep lanes open. They help with the repairs. They spend quite a lot of money on this sort of stuff. So if you can support them, they support us in our recreation, our hobby, whatever you want to call that.
You get access to. That's how you get access to the Trailwise map.
Yeah. So it's not an app. I know we call it an app sometimes, but it's actually an online map. And then you can click overlay buttons to turn on different kind of overlays. But that'll tell you where there's a byway open to all traffic, or a boat, B-O-A-T, or UCRs, which are uncategorised roads. All of those, as long as there's no restrictions on them at that time, which are usually if repairs are being done or like a seasonal restriction to help not damage the lane too much, or sometimes it's a one-way advice. That's usually an advisory, a voluntary one-way system, because obviously you do more damage going up a lane than vertically up. But yeah, it's a great way to, once you know your location or your area, it's a great way to have a look on that map at what lanes there are. They'll be highlighted in red or blue.
The boats are in blue, UCRs are in red.
Yeah, so, and then you can click on those, click on the actual highlighted area, and it'll open up like notes that other users have left. You can leave your notes, comments.
You can even, like some people even upload photos, which is quite useful.
Yeah. We'll go into that a little bit further into the video. But yeah, that gives you an idea of what lanes are in the area, what kind of lanes they are, and also the notes on each lane. There'll also be comments on whether there's any restrictions. That's where you can find that as well. If you want to double check, you can always double check with the local council, but that's usually quite up to date, isn't it?
Okay, so apart from Trailwise, we also use ViewRanger or Wikiloc. They're quite good for finding lanes as well. But these are user-based, so these are routes that are recorded by users.
Yeah, they are apps. They are phone apps. They're both. Well, one of them is like a paid subscription. It's not very expensive, and then
that's ViewRanger.
That's ViewRanger, yeah. And Wikiloc is free for the basics, and I think there might be
there is some limitations.
Limits or in-app purchase for more features and stuff. But the basic features are there for you. And by user-based, we mean you literally can record your journey over the trails, and then when you get to the end of the trail, press stop, give it a name, then that goes onto your account, and you can look at other people's accounts or profiles, I guess you call it, and see what tracks they've saved. It's a good way of finding if someone's done a particular trip and they've put some lanes together, and you can see what they've done. You can get some inspiration from that of how to link some of the lanes together.
Yeah, you can also see what direction they went, so that's also quite a good tip. But saying that they're user-based, you do need to double check with Trailwise whether these routes that they've done are legal to drive.
Yeah, just because they've recorded something, it doesn't mean it was illegal.
I think I found a few that actually weren't legal, so yeah, be careful with that one.
If you found lanes on ViewRanger or Wikiloc, it's always good to cross-reference those with the glass TW2 maps, or with maps from the local council.
Okay, so what else do we do?
So after that, I mean, that's your lanes covered, really. I mean, that's finding the lanes, maybe piecing together a sequence of lanes, and then I think we just like to just use normal Google search. And the reason I say normal Google search is because we'll talk about Google Maps in a little while. But yeah, use Google search to find points of interest. So while you're going through beautiful countryside, it's nice to know if there's a castle in the distance, if there's something in that area. It's nice to know what it is. It's nice to know if there's something worth visiting and stopping to look at, or just more about the general area, rather than just driving the lane.
It always makes it more interesting to do a bit of sightseeing as well as green laning and get to know the area.
Enriches the journey.
Yeah.
So, like we say, this is how we plan our trips. Wikiloc, ViewRanger, TW2. If there's any other apps that you use or any other methods that you use, maybe drop some comments in the comment section below.
Maybe there's an easier way of doing all this.
Yeah, maybe you know something that we don't. It's always good to learn new ways of doing things. Also good for other viewers to read those comments. So yeah, pop your comments below. It's always good to see what you guys do to plan your trips.
Also, stay with us till the end, because we will have some very useful tips at the end of our video.
Oh, and while we're on the subject of Google, there's another little thing you might want to do. We don't have to worry about it too much driving a Jeep with big tyres and stuff like that. But we know a lot of you guys out there, you've not got Jeeps or Land Rovers or anything like that. You might have like a VW Synchro van, you know, a 4-wheel drive van, or something similar. You know, it's good to Google images of the lanes so you know what you're going to get into. Some of the lanes are a little bit rocky, or they've got quite big ledges or steps, and a long wheelbase van, 4-wheel drive sometimes is not enough. The breakover angle or the clearance under your vehicle, it might just not be enough for ledges and steps. So it's a good idea to Google just to know what you're getting into, so you can Google the name of the actual lanes. Yeah, I think that's probably worthwhile doing.
Definitely. We've found some good images, haven't we? Google Street View, that's quite useful as well, because sometimes it's hard to find the actual entrance to the lane. Sometimes it's like on a farm or
if you can visualise
side of a house.
Or you've had a little look, you know what, maybe make some notes. Yeah, some of them are pretty hidden. It could be on a farm. You've got to go up a farm track, and then there's a gate on the right. Yeah, it does feel like you're not meant to be there, but we made a little note about campsites. Campsites or just lunch spots, whether you're on a one-day trip or whether you're on a multiple-day trip. Yeah, I think the most we've done is probably 3 days of laning, 3 days of camping.
That was Lake District.
Yeah.
You can check these videos
check the video
out
up here. We'll link it up here if you can. So it's always good to plan your routes and your campsites together, really. So whether it's a group of lanes, one area, and a group of lanes in another area, and you're camping in the middle, or you're camping where you start the next set of lanes on the second day. It's good to get it all figured out in your head, really. Some days just the lanes take longer, so it's good to have a campsite as a possible stopover if you need it.
It's definitely a good tip just to be prepared, you know. Have several options rather than be stuck with one. Yeah,
I think generally you can find out how long a lane's going to take by research, but we have in the past, when we did Bastard Lane, we planned 2 or 3 other lanes.
Oh, we planned loads. We planned the whole loop,
and we just
only
did the
one.
Yeah. So if we had the time, it would have been really nice to camp over and do the rest of them the next day. But yeah, in that situation, we only managed to do that day. Yeah.
So we had to come back because there was some good lanes.
Yeah. Also, lunch spots. It's good to know a few possible lunch spots, because sometimes if you don't stop at a good lunch spot and you keep on going thinking, oh, there will be one. Some lanes there's just not anywhere to stop.
Tight lanes.
Yeah. So
you don't want to be blocking the way.
Goes on and on and on for hours. But saying that, quite often we plan maybe a decent space, but then we find an amazing space.
A better one.
Yeah. So I think in that case, it's just if you find somewhere amazing, just stop there, have your lunch, make sure you mark it down on the map, drop a pin or whatever you can. But yeah, we'll come back to making notes in a minute. So once you've got your lanes planned, your campsites planned, we find it's a good idea to, as large as you can on one piece of paper, print it all out, maybe print a map out, mark out all your lanes just with a pen, points of interest, campsite. You can make notes, campsite phone numbers and all that sort of stuff. I know it's old school, but sometimes you might have all these on your phone and you think it's great that it's all on your phone.
It is great.
But you're using your phone as a camera, taking photos, and what if your battery dies? What if you've got no signal?
It's a good backup. Yeah, it's a good
Print
backup.
it out, make all your notes on there, and you can see how long each lane is compared to the next and so on, you know.
So now you're going to ask a question, but I've got all this information, but how do I actually plan the route? How do I, have it on?
Yeah, it's how do you go? The question really is, how do you go from Trailwise or Wikiloc, etc., to actually driving the lanes? The answer really is there isn't really a good solution.
It's not easy, not a super easy way. Unfortunately, you can't plan in Trailwise, which would be great, to have it all in one place. It's not
a recommendation for Glass. Turn your Trailwise map into an app that people can use, and so many people will jump on that.
Yeah.
But anyway. That's a side note.
Okay, so before that happens,
yeah, until we get Trailwise,
yeah,
the app.
we either use Google Maps or Gaia.
We'll link Gaia, if we can, in the description below.
Google Maps is free, Gaia is not free.
No, Gaia, you pay a yearly subscription. Gaia is worldwide. It's got many layers you can put on like overlays. And also the difference between Google Maps and Gaia is Google Maps is online. When you're up in the mountains in the Alps, you might not have a signal, or just
if you're in Wales,
damp valley.
You're not going to get signal in Wales.
Yeah, we find we get a better signal in the Alps, in the mountains, than we do in Wales. So Gaia allows you to download an area, a whole area. Mm-hmm. There's limits to how much you can download.
You can do separate downloads. Yeah. You can do smaller downloads. And then Gaia allows you to plan your route. So that's how you go. That's how we translate.
You can mark out
all of our points and make a route.
Mark out the whole route. Google has its limitations, but Google Maps is jack of all trades, master of none, really, isn't it?
Google is good for pinning the beginnings of each green lane. That's quite good.
And if you do, I mean, some people use Google as a bit of a sat-nav thing as well. We don't. We'll come to that in a minute. It's good to pin locations, places you want to visit, future trips, all that sort of stuff. And Gaia is a master of planning a route. You can record your routes on there, so it is worth getting if you really want to do this. More of this.
Yeah, Gaia is great for if you're planning a trip in Europe. I think Gaia is great for
longer trips. Yeah, it's definitely good to have. We use Gaia on we've got like an iPad mini. We went for the mini just so it doesn't take up too much space on the dashboard, you know, and we just have that there, and you can refer to it as you're driving. You can plan for the next day and all that sort of stuff.
But you will need what you do need for Gaia is GPS signal.
Yeah, you do.
Good GPS signal.
I mean, whether you've got an iPad with GPS, iPads and phones, they're assisted GPS, so it's GPS and along with your phone signal working together. We have a little Garmin GPS thing that we plug into it. Well, actually, it connects Bluetooth, I think.
Bluetooth, yeah. That's pretty good.
So whether we've got a phone signal or not, we've got GPS wherever we are. That wasn't very expensive, and to be honest, I don't know what it's like without it, because we've always had it. Yeah. So you've done all your planning, you've got your map, you've got everything sorted, you've packed up your gear, your recovery gear, don't forget your recovery gear, your friends, don't forget to meet your friends. Then you're setting off in the morning on your trip.
But do you know where we're going?
I don't know where we're going. I never know where we're going. So how do we get there? There's all sorts of ways. Google, TomTom, sat-nav, built-in sat-nav in your car. Far and above all of those, we found the best way is an app called Waze.
W-A-Z-E.
Yeah, W-A-Z-E. So a lot of people know about it already. Lots of taxi drivers use it.
That's how we found out about it, isn't it?
Yeah, we saw a taxi driver, I think maybe in Poland, using it. And then we saw others using it. When it first came out, we checked it. It wasn't that good. And we looked at it again a year later, and it was mind-blowingly good.
That's also user-based, isn't it? So the more users, the better it is.
Yeah, and now there's when all the taxi drivers are using it and loads of other people, if there's an accident, let's say, it knows there's an accident straight away. If there's a pothole in the road, it knows there's a pothole. If there's somebody on the side of the motorway, it knows. And it tells you in real time.
We definitely saved some time using Waze.
Yeah. It'll reroute you if it thinks the traffic is a little bit too slow based on the users that are in that traffic, and it'll take you around it. All real time. You can tell it whether we'll tick the use unpaved roads option. So it'll go the quickest route based on what kind of vehicle you drive and what kind of roads you like. And you can do all the normal stuff like opt out of toll roads and motorways or whatever you want to do. But yeah, Waze, that'll get you there. I'll get you there as the quickest way possible every time. Never failed us. The only comment I have about Waze is, well, we have the female voice. She talks too much. She really does talk too much.
Up. No, she does. She really does.
Yeah. So Waze to get us there. Google or Gaia dropped pin to find the start of the lane.
Combined with Google Street View to know that it's
What it looks
definitely
like,
the right lane.
And then when you get there, don't forget to open up Wikiloc or ViewRanger, whatever you prefer, and click record. Record your lane.
Yeah, so you can then save it, you can do it again, you can share with your friends.
Yeah. Build up a little database of your own.
And saying that, you can check out our Wikiloc.
Yeah.
It may not be...
Not very well recorded Wikiloc. We tend to forget to,
we tend to forget.
Press stop or press start. You know. Yeah, but there's some stuff on there. You'll be able to find some of our lanes.
Yeah, our Wikiloc is at modified_Jeeps_UK. That's how you can find it.
We'll link that down below as well. Shall we summarise? Yeah, we've decided where we're going, who we're going with, what lanes are in that area, double checked against Wikiloc and any other apps that people record their trips, just in case we miss one.
Else, yeah.
Cross-reference that with TW2 to make sure it's all legal. We know how to get there. We know if we're camping and where we're going to stop for lunch.
We know if we want to do any sightseeing while we're there.
What is in the local area. And then if all this sounds too much, there's a lot of work.
Sounds a bit too much
it's not
for
too
me.
much work. Once you get into it, it's not that bad. But if it does all sound a little bit too much, there is options. I mean, there's a lot of people, more and more every year really, that do organised trips. They're not that expensive really.
I think they're a great starting point if you only just getting into the 4x4 world.
We've got friends who have been on one or two of these trips and then they've learned that they can do it themselves.
It's a good way to meet other people as well.
Yeah. Meet other people. Also, if you're worried about going on the lanes and you don't know how to, say if you've only recently bought an off-road vehicle, you've never really done this sort of stuff before, it's good to go with more experienced people. If you do get stuck, you've got someone to help. You've always got somebody to give you some advice. So that could be the answer. It means you can just enjoy yourself. The stress is not there of getting stuck, finding the lanes. Are you where you should be? You're following a group of people. They're probably all in the same boat, except for the person organising the trip. But yeah, it's quite a good way of doing it.
Yeah. Some of them do like weekenders as well, and they'll cook you dinner and everything.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's
it's like a little holiday.
We'll link a few down below. But yeah, I mean, some people, they're just taking you. They're just like a tour guide, and you're responsible for everything else if that's how you like it. And some of them, they do European trips. They'll do a trip across the Pyrenees, multiple days or a week or so. They're more expensive, but I mean, we like to do these things ourselves and plan it. Or on a longer trip, we don't like to have a timetable, so to speak. So that's not for us, but it's ideal for some.
Yeah. If you wanna know how we plan our longer trips, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
Because that's a little bit different than the UK, isn't it?
Yeah. If that's something you want us to cover, we're happy to do that. Just comment below. So that's basically it, guys. I mean, it's not that difficult. It's quite straightforward. These are the tools that we use. So you should get out there and do it yourself. You've got time to plan now while we're all still in lockdown. We do have a few extra tips. So what have we got first? Okay,
so let's start with Instagram or Facebook. Nowadays, in lockdown, you might find yourself scrolling through Instagram and Facebook loads.
You mean stalking? Stalking people.
Not all of you know, but you can, in Instagram and in Facebook, you can save photos and locations. If you come across something that you think you might want to visit in the future, just save it. And then,
where do you save that?
On Instagram, you have a little save icon to the
just
side.
a general save. And then you can put those into folders,
different folders. Yeah. So, for example, we've got separate countries. We've got areas of the UK. So
I don't put things. I just save them, and then
I tidy them up.
and then tidy them into little folders.
But it basically creates a massive database, if you like, of places that we want to visit eventually. So
you start doing that for a while, and then when we're finally allowed to get into Europe and do some more travelling, then you've got yourself quite a good database of places to visit.
You can also that's how you can also find other people, like say in Europe. They might want to meet up with you and just like show you their areas that they're at.
Yeah, we've got quite a few people.
I think a couple in Switzerland.
Just waiting for us to visit, and hopefully they'll be available to show us a few places. It's good to make all sorts of friends, and by the time you're there, you feel comfortable meeting up with them then. So again, Google Maps app is really good for this as well.
You can basically do a similar thing to what you can do on Instagram. You can create separate lists and save all of the locations. So that's quite useful.
We've got quite a few locations.
Yeah. I mean, you look on the map and it shows you all of the locations you've saved.
It's like a wish list of all the places you want to visit, and then when you do get to visit them, you've already got all these amazing places, and you might have seen a photo of a lake or a waterfall, or just something you want to visit and see, and then you can plan your trips around that. We'll insert some.
That's how we did some in Europe.
Yeah. Another one is join some relevant Facebook groups. They're not always the most obvious either. You might think, I want to go green laning, and then you search for groups with green laning in the name. It's not always the way though, is it? I mean, there are a couple of good ones.
Roof tent, we've got Roof Tent Camping UK and Overland Explorers UK. They're both good for finding campsites that you might not otherwise be able to find.
Yeah.
Because some people just advertise like privately, on private land. We've been to a couple of campsites.
Not necessarily like a campsite in a traditional sense.
A great example would be Nash, wouldn't it?
Nash Oakland is, they've just got some woodland areas, and they let you do wild camping on private land. So essentially, it's wild camping, but you are on their land, and you just pay a very small fee, really.
If you want to see what that looked like, we've got a video from Nash Oakland as well. So
I'll link that in the corner if I can. Well, wild camping might not be your style, but a lot of people do like it. As you find comments on groups, you can look at who commented and see what groups they are members of as well, and that way you'll find all the most interesting groups. Yeah,
I'm sure there's some groups that we haven't joined yet.
Oh yeah, there's so many out there.
Another tip that we have for you guys for finding green lanes is to have a look in some magazines.
It's not on the list.
Not on the list.
No. We need to add that to the list.
I know of 2 magazines that do a little green laning section, and they put photos of the green lines and the actual routes.
Like a review they do, and even a map references.
Map references, and references for a Trailwise map. So you can then, go further into that.
Well, there's the Green Lane Association magazine. They actually do put out a magazine as well. So.
The other 2 magazines that I can think of is an online magazine, the Mud Life magazine. Yeah,
Mud Life magazine.
That's quite good.
Check out their Instagram as well. They're quite active, aren't they? Mud Life magazine. Yeah.
And one more.
Oh my God! I know what you're going to say.
We're going to get hate for our beloved Land Rover magazine.
Yeah, we've been known to buy a Land Rover magazine. Not for the cars.
Yeah, actually, that was during.
Only because there's not a Jeep one.
That was last. Yeah, there is not a Jeep magazine in the UK. No. We bought our first Land Rover magazine last year. I think that was because there was a route for coast to coast.
One of several magazines.
One of several.
It's been a few.
We have 2 now. 2. I think we have 2. Yeah, because coast to coast was split into 2.
Don't worry. We're not changing sides.
Not that we have anything against Land Rovers.
No. Land Rovers are cool. They're just not as cool. They're capable, but they're just not as capable.
You're digging a hole.
Yeah, so, I mean, all joking aside, Land Rover magazine does have some good articles. There was like Annette said, there's a coast-to-coast trip with loads of useful information. We haven't done that yet.
It's basically the whole route out there for you in the magazine. So
there's some good info there, yeah. Oh, one last thing while we're talking about groups, don't forget to join ours, Modified Jeeps UK. We'll link that below because we've got a page and a group and they're both under the same name. The page is obviously just our posts, what we're up to, and the group is everybody else. So it's quite active and quite a few members now. I think where are we at?
I think we hit 1,000 recently.
Just hit 1,000, yeah, as we're recording this. So there's quite a lot of useful things on there. It's a good place to ask questions if you're stuck with something. A lot of knowledgeable people on there. It's a very friendly group. If anyone's unfriendly, we'll just delete them. So we want to keep it a nice place. And mostly about Jeeps, but we do have other members as well.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Converting them all.
Yeah,
to
people
Jeeps.
who want Jeeps eventually.
A lot of Land Rover guys that turn to Jeep owners.
Oh, sorry about that. So, one last tip. It's not for everybody, I guess. Kind of green laning related. I guess these are byways, aren't they? But if you do visit Salisbury Plain,
it has that area. Salisbury Plain has become quite popular recently.
Yeah. There's been a few people posting videos or photos lately, and it's made it popular.
Unfortunately, we have to miss that trip.
Yeah, we planned a trip, and then, well, you know the situation, the worldwide situation.
But we will get there.
Well, we'll get there. But one little note to make is it's land that's used by the military for training. So make sure you go onto, we'll link it below again, government website. You can just search Salisbury Plain firing days or dates, and on there you'll get like a diary of when they're planning to use live rounds, firing, training exercises, and so on. You're not allowed to be in certain zones on certain days for obvious reasons. Yeah, no one wants to get shot. But otherwise, if they're not using live rounds, you're free to use all of the byways. Check the dates out before you go, because if you get there and there's red flags everywhere, you're not going to be happy about that, are you?
Okay, shall we wrap it up?
Yep, so hopefully there's something useful for everybody there. Again, if there's anything you know that we don't, anything we've missed out, pop a comment in the comment section below.
If you have any questions, like any further questions about any of the stuff that we've been talking about, we'll be more than happy to answer.
In the comments as well. We do check the comments regularly, so anything you want to know or anything we don't know and you want to tell us.
Maybe we're idiots, maybe we're going about all this wrong.
Yeah, maybe there is a way of translating from TW2 to, I don't know.
At the click.
Yeah. Maybe there is an app we don't know about. But yeah, anything you want to put in the comments, please do so. If you want to know how we plan our European trips, just pop that in the comments below. If we get enough comments about that, I think we'll do a video.
That might surprise you, how we do it, because I think it's quite surprising.
How little we plan.
Don't give away.
No, there's definitely some planning. It's not all about trails. If you've never been driving in Europe, there's some things you need to know, some things you'd like to know.
With Brexit as well, there might be some new things you have to do.
Extra things, yeah. So if you want us to do all the hard work for you, we don't mind. We'll make a video, include some footage of some of our trips in that as well. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
So hope you liked the video. Don't forget to click the like button if you did, and subscribe if you want to see more. And we'll see you in the next video.
See you in the next one.
See ya.